onto his property. When the Knoxville police opened the 3.5-foot-long duffel bag tied around Drew's waist, they discovered 34 football-sized bundles of cocaine. Another bag tied to his body held dehydrated food and other survival supplies. His main parachute was still in its pack. His right hand still gripped the ripcord of his partially deployed reserve chute. He was wearing combat-style fatigues and expensive Italian shoes, a seeming non sequitur to those getting their first glimpse into the bizarre world of the sexy, madcap Kentucky blue blood. His pockets contained a membership card to the Miami Jockey Club and a personal address book listing fewer than a dozen names and telephone numbers. Bruises and abrasions marked both legs, and a trickle of blood had hardened on both cheeks. His spine and several ribs were fractured. A ruptured aorta had killed him. Of the 3 epigrams he carried in his pocket, the most revealing read, "There is only one tactical principle not subject to change. It is to inflict the maximum amount of wounds, death, and destruction on the enemy in the minimum amount of time." Journalists and cops in Tennessee scratched their heads in bewilderment. They couldn't untangle the incongruities of the handsome man who had plunged to his death with $75 million worth of pure cocaine strapped to his waist and a failed parachute on his back. But back home in Kentucky, Drew's wild and crashing demise seemed a logical conclusion to his life on the edge. Over the past 20 years, Drew had bounced from job to job, avocation to avocation. After a brief stint as an Army paratrooper, he dabbled in racehorse breeding, undercover police work, and the martial arts. He became a pilot, collected guns, and struggled through law school at night, obtaining a degree but few clients. He drove a white Jaguar sports car and played polo with other well-bred boyhood friends. He was an L.L. Bean-type dresser, sporting elegant flannels and expensive outdoor clothing. A health food fanatic and fitness freak, Drew smuggled tons of pot and cocaine into the country while claiming never to touch the stuff. As a kid, he wasn't athletic, wasn't a good student, and wasn't particularly popular. As a cop, he was a bully who enjoyed beating up the kids he busted, roughing up the drunks and hookers who put up little resistance, and practicing his karate on dogs. He believed in power through intimidation, thought he possessed supernatural abilities, and somehow persuaded an unlikely crew of misfits and sycophants from Lexington's seamier side of the tracks to become his fiercely loyal groupies. He boasted of military decorations and courageous derring-do, hinting at ties to the CIA and dangerous escapades as a soldier and mercenary. But his Army records described him as an unremarkable 5'8", 150-pound private who received basic training, spent 2 months in combat in the Dominican Republic, during which time he was shot in the left arm and received medals for having been wounded in action, who was exemplary in neither aptitude nor performance, and who was a disciplinary problem on at least one occasion. The picture of Drew's dead body appeared on all 3 networks and went across the country's major news wires. Published photos from happier times showed a man in his prime, a tanned and fit man of action, handsome and flashy enough to be a star on Miami Vice. Drew Thornton wanted to be known as a guy with guts. He wanted people to think he was tough and intelligent, cunning and sophisticated. His exploits would have been dismissed as those of a second-class outlaw had he not been the son of what is known in the South as a good family and possessed the political and social connections inherent to such landed gentry.